first regular session of the 20th Congress is hereby called to order. Let us all rise for a minute of silent prayer. Thank you. Session is suspended. Secretary, please call the roll.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senator Aquino, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lacson, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcoleta, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pangilinan, Senator Tulfo Erwin, Senator Tulfo Rafi, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Camil, Senator Villar Mark, Senator Zubiri. The Senate President is present.
With 17 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Joe
Mr. President, before we tackle other matters, we just like to recognize we have a lot of guests here today with us. My mayor, Mr. President, my mayor of Kadingilan, Bukidnon, Mayor Jerry Canoy Jr. is here with us. And together with, we have also local officials of Victoria City, headed by Mayor Abelardo Bantug is with us as well. I don't know if he's related to Secretary Ray Bantug, our birthday boy. And of course, we also have the group from Inner Wheel Club Manila EDSA Bay, Manila Bay EDSA. Nandito po sila, all these lovely ladies here in the back, led by Ma'am Dita Crisostomo and my Tita Nelly King is with us as well. Guest of Senator Marcoleta is Marawi City Civil Society Organizations and internally displaced leaders from Marawi City. Guest of Senator Kiko Pangilinan and Senator Bam Aquino is Dr. Baby Boy Benjamin Nebres III, President of Bicol University. We have also guests of Senator Pangilinan, local officials from the province of Bohol, Mayor Tricia Chato, Mayor Rudy Uy, Mayor Nikki Bolos, and Bicol, I mentioned the Bicol University President. Yun lamang po, Mr. President. Now, also, we have guests of Senator Rizzo Ontiveros and Senator Bamakino, the Eisenhower Fellows Association of the Philippines, Sir Edwin To, Omar Ali, Erica Legara, and Dr. Venus Cloma Rosales, Mr. President.
Thank you. We welcome all our guests that were mentioned by the Majority Leader to the Senate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
President.
Majority Leader, you may proceed.
Mr. President, to give a chance to our colleague who was displaced also yesterday because of the debates that happened, may we recognize the distinguished colleague from Palawan and Davao City, no other, and the Republic of the Philippines, no other than Senator Erwin Tulfo to take advantage of the privilege hour, Mr. President.
Senator Erwin Tulfo is recognized.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege, not just with concern, but with outrage. Outrage, Mr. President, over a law that was meant to regulate the construction industry, but has now been twisted into a weapon of abuse, greed, and corruption. Ang tinutukoy ko po ay itong Republic Act number 4566 o ang Contractors License Law. At sa ilalim ng batas na nag-amyenda dito ay ang Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board o PICAB na siyang nagbabantay, nangangasiwa at nagre-regulate sa industriya ng lahat ng konstruksyon sa Pilipinas. Maganda po ang batas na ito, maganda po ang layunin, Ginoong Pangulo. Ngunit may malaki pong problema. Ayon kasi sa nasabing batas, kailangang lahat ng mga miyembro ng PICAB ay may 10 taon o higit pang karanasan sa pangungontrata. Now, Mr. President, I ask you in this chamber, how can contractors regulate themselves? How can we expect impartiality when those who sit in judgment are the very same people who compete for and corner government projects worth billions of pesos? This is not regulation, Mr. President. This is what you call state-sanctioned conflict of interest, and it directly violates Republic Act number 6713 or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. And true enough, Mr. President, reports are out that some board members, supposedly watchdogs of the industry, have themselves bagged massive flood control projects like Engineer Ernie Bagao, a PICAB board member and owner of the EGB Construction Corporation. This construction company, according to President Marcos, bagged 7.7 billion pesos worth of flood control projects from 2022 to 2025. And these projects are not only tainted with allegations of overpricing and substandard work, but some are outright ghost projects. EGB Construction Corporation reportedly also owns Wow Wow Builders, who is said to be behind several ghost projects in Bulacan, Mr. President. Ang isa pang opisyal ng PICAB na si Engineer Arthur Escalante ay nabanggit din ni Senador Ping Lacson na nakakuha ng malalaking kontrata sa pamahalaan. Tell me, Mr. President, paano magiging patas ang isang board o ahensya kung ang mga miyembro nito, opisyales, ay sumasali at nananalo sa bilyong-bilyong kontrata ng gobyerno, lalo na sa mga flood control projects na ngayon ay nalulubog sa kontrobersiya, anomalya at katiwalian. PICAB is silent because how can they investigate themselves? How can they police their own ranks when the law itself did not explicitly prohibit its officials to to stop its construction business. Mr. President, let's stop sugarcoating. This is corruption in broad daylight. Mr. President, this cannot go on. We have to ask ourselves, should contractors still dominate PICAB? Should those who accredit and regulate be the same people who rake in government contracts? Should we impose a total ban on PICAB members and their companies from bidding in public works while in office with a strict cooling off period after? It is for this reason that I filed Senate Bill number 1373, or an act strengthening the contractor's license law, further amending for the purpose Republic Act number 4566 and for other purposes. Layunin po ng panukalang batas na ito na higpitan ang regulasyon ng mga lisensya ng mga kontratista. Sinisiguro din ito na ang miyembro ng PICAB ay madidiskwalipika kung siya ay may-ari o opisyal ng mga kumpanyang may transaksyon sa pamahalaan. Mr. President, the Filipino people deserve honesty, fairness in public works projects that truly serve their communities. Not this circus where regulators double as beneficiaries, where laws are exploited and where corruption festers under the guise of legality. Ang Republic Act number 4566 ay naging bulok na batas na ginagamit sa pansariling interes. It was meant to protect the public, Mr. President, but now it is protecting the pockets of the few. Mr. President, it is time to slam the brakes on this racket. No more thieves involved in the creation of our national budget. No more regulations or regulators doubling as profiteers. No more flood control projects that serve as cash cows for the few, while millions of Filipinos ay nalulunod at inaadod ng tubig baha. Enough is enough, Mr. President. We have to take action. Maraming salamat po at magandang hapon sa ating lahat.
Thank you, Senator Erwin Tulfo.
Mr. Chair, Mr.
Majority
President,
Leader.
we move to refer the speech of the gentleman to the Committee on
Public accountability.
Public Accountability and Civil Service, Your Honor, because there is corruption that is being mentioned and malfeasance, misfeasance. So it's usually public, it's a Blue Ribbon Committee first, and then with Civil Service as secondary committee. I so move, Mr. President.
All right. Any objection? Chair hears none. Motion is approved.
May we recognize, I'm sorry, the good gentleman from Isabela and the Republic of the Philippines wanted to make a manifestation on the topic of Senator Erwin Tulfo. May we also recognize him, Mr. President?
Senator Rafi Tulfo is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to associate myself with the privileged speech of Senator Erwin Tulfo. PCAB is currently at the center of investigations associated with either ghost or substandard government infrastructure projects. As the government institution tasked to strictly monitor licensed contractors, PCAB is in hot water as corruption, including under-the-table dealings, easily favors fly-by-night contractors and discourages honest contractors. PCAB, together with its parent agency, the Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines, or SIAP, should be made accountable with this mess. Hindi po sapat ang resignation ng ilang opisyal ng PCAB upang ayusin ang problemang ito. There should be major reforms to improve the licensing and accreditation process. I thank Senator Erwin for filing Senate Bill number 1373 to strengthen the contractor's license law, the law which requires all contractors, subcontractors, and specialty contractors to obtain license from the PCAB. In line with this, Mr. President, Is a gentleman from Palawan, Ilocos, and Davao willing to answer a few questions?
Sure, Mr. President.
But before
You may proceed.
yeah, because Ilocos, my father is from Ilocos, my mom is from Davao, and he has a residence in Palawan. So, is that correct, Mr. President?
That's true, Mr. President.
Okay, before my question, Mr. President, I just need to make some point here. During the last hearing sa Blue Ribbon, I called the attention of the leadership of PCAB. Nasabi ko dapat yung mga opisyalis na yon ay ma-issuean ng whole departure order, particularly these people. Number one, Dr. Pericles Dakay, Engineer Arthur Escalante, Engineer Ernie Bagao, Attorney Herbert Matienzo, Attorney Marco Matt, and Doris Gacho. Ito po yung mga opisyalis ng PCAB para sa akin ay dapat maimbestigahan at kung kinakailangan ay makasuhan. Bakit kanyo, Mr. President, I found out na prior to May 12, 2022, ang sinisingil na para sa licensing fee ng mga contractor na nag-a-apply para maging contractor was 100 pesos. Again, 100 pesos. Pero nung May 12, 2022, naging effective yung RA 11711, amending the contractor's license law from 100 pesos, ito ay dapat ang sinisingil na ay 5,000 pesos. Pero gayon pa man, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang paniningil nitong mga taga-PCAB ng 100 pesos at sino-shortchange ang government ng 4,900. Ang tanong, saan na pupunta yung 4,900 pesos kada aplikante ng mga contractor? Kaya nag-issue ang Commission on Audit ng report at sinasabing sila ay short ng 258 million pesos. At nung kinausap ko sa nasabing hearing, ito mga taga-PCAB, ang sinabi nila kasi nag-issue sila ng IRR at pinoward kay Presidente bago raw mai-implement yung 5,000 na singil. And I told them, hindi, kasi wala doon sa procedure, sa provision, na dapat magkaroon ng IRR para makasingil ng 5,000, gawing it effective after maipass yung RA 1171, 711. Ang sabi ng Presidente, kasi yun daw ang sabi ng kanilang mga abogado. So sabi ko, yung mga abogado nila siguro ay ob-ob, kailangan na mag-resign dahil hindi nila alam kung ano yung pinanggagawa nila. But anyway, Mr. President, my question to Senator Erwin, ano po yung mga salient features ng SBN 1373?
Marami po, Sen. Rafi, Mr. President, ang meron itong Republic Act, or not Republic Act, but SB 1373. Narito po ang ilan dito, ang reorganisasyon po ng PCAB na ang kanilang mga miyembro na 5, chairman plus 4 po na miyembro, ay dapat po mga representante mula sa DPWH, Securities and Exchange Commission, at contracting industry at saka academe or civil society. At alisin na po yung mga kontratista na mga nakaupo po doon. Isa pa po, mas stricto na qualification para sa mga miyembro. Dapat po ang miyembro nito ay natural born Filipino, residente po ng 8 taon dito sa ating bayan, at least 35 years old, na may maganda pong moral character. Disqualification cannot be an owner po, officer or stockholder of a construction company with government transactions. Dapat po wala kung siya po ay may negosyo. If a conflict of interest arises during his tenure, the member must divest interest within 30 days, Mr. President. Isa pa pong feature nito ay ang fixed term of office. Ang chairman at ang mga miyembro ay magsisilbi po ng 3 taon at wala na pong reappointment. Enhanced powers of PCAB. PICAB can now investigate violations motu proprio on its own or upon verified complaints. Ang nangyayari po kasi ngayon, Mr. President, hindi sila nag-iimbestiga dahil paano nila iimbestigahan ang kanilang mga sarili, Mr. President? Ang panghuli po, stronger accountability of contractors. Prescripted period of filing charges extended to 10 years. Yung mga substandard at saka mga ghost projects, dapat po kahit na 10 taon na yan at pwede pong kasuhan. Renewal after revocation of license may only be reissued upon proof, demonstrable financial and operating capacity, full satisfaction of losses, costs, and compliance with condition of revocation. Yan po ang mga salient features po ng naturang Senate bill. Mr. President.
Mr. President, I'm looking forward na itong PCAB sa susunod na hearing, either Blue Ribbon o sa public accountability, ay mapatawag lalo itong mga opisyales nila nang sa gayon magsagawa tayo ng malalim na investigasyon hinggil sa mga kalokohan ng mga taong ito. Maraming salamat, Mr. President.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Rafi.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
May we recognize Senator Marcoleta, Mr. President.
Senator Dante Marcoleta is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is our colleague, Mr. President, still amenable for a few clarificatory questions by way of interpellation?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. President, is our honorable colleague aware of the fact that the 15 contractors identified by the President of the Philippines in his initial report about the anomalous corruption in the flood control projects are not even members of the Philippine Contractors Association?
Mr. President, yung si Attorney Ernie Bagao na mention po na may-ari ng EGB Construction ay isa po doon sa top 15 na ayon po sa listahan ng Pangulo ay nakakuha po ng 7.7 billion pesos. Siya po ay board member ng PICAB, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I think our good colleague didn't get the question. Mr. President, is our colleague aware of the fact that the 15 contractors identified in this anomalous flood control projects are not even members of the Philippine Contractors Association?
We will have to check on that, Mr. President. I don't have the list right now, but I can check it and probably give the copy to the gentleman from Pampanga.
Mr. President, there is no need for that because this representation knows the fact that these 15 identified contractors are not members of the Philippine Contractors Associations. Why am I asking this question, Mr. President? The Philippine Contractors Association is the primary organization of the most reputable contractors in this country. And I'd like to provide the information that this particular association is singly responsible in the creation of the CIAP. This is the Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines. Before that, Mr. President, the construction is not considered as an industry. It is only a sector. At that time, there was a debate, a national debate, that it is contributory to the gross domestic product of our country. It being a sector, it was not recognized as an industry. But because of the Philippine Contractors Association, it espoused a national consciousness that it is a major industry, one that is constructing the very foundation of our infrastructure. It is the one responsible to our skyline. Kaya ko po sinasabi ito, Mr. President, kailangan marinig din po sila. Hindi naman po kung halimbawa nakakita tayo ng ilang kamatis na bulok na nandun po sa isang tiklis, ay masisiraan na po yung buong figura ng construction industry in this country. Napakarami po ng reputable. Ito po, kaya ko po sinasabi, baka po sa pagbanat natin do sa 15 lang, kung tutuusin ay nasasadlak pa sila sa isang investigasyon na ongoing ngayon sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Sana'y tingnan natin po yung mga matitibay na haligi ng construction industry na sila po yung nagtayo, sila ang nanguna kung bakit nagkaroon po ng CIAP, ng Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board sa ilalim po ng Department of Trade and Industry. Kaya ko po sinasabi ito, Mr. President, bago pa po ako naging congressman, ako po ay nagtrabaho sa isang federasyon ng mga contractors. Ang Philippine Contractors po ay isang matibay na haligi at kasama po sa tinatawag na International Federation of Asian and Western Pacific Contractors Association. Ang ibig po sabihin niyan, tayo po'y bahagi ng isang regional, even a global conglomerate of contractors. Sana po ay matingnan din natin yung paraan kung paano na-develop, kung paano naging bahagi ng ating ekonomiya ang Philippine Construction Accreditation Board sa ilalim ng pamamahala ng Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines na ngayon nga po ay nando na po na bahagi ng ating Department of Trade and Industry. Yun lamang po ang aking gustong sabihin by way of manifestation. Salamat, Senator Erwin, sa pagpapahayag mo ng bahaging ito na maaari nating mapag-usapan in terms of legislation. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Pero I just want to clarify, Mr. President, that my privileged speech was not about the Contractors Association. It was rather centered on the bill that should amend the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board, Mr. President, not specifically on the Contractors Association, but rather yung pong batas na ginawa pa noong Hunyo 19, 1965, lumang-luma na po at parang hindi na po siya applicable to this day, Mr. President. So yun po yung nais ko pala pong sabihin sa aking pong privileged speech. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to thank the good gentleman for his privileged speech. And I'd like to reiterate that we include as well the interpellation of Senator Raffy Tulfo and Senator Marcoleta to the referral of the measure or the speech to the Blue Ribbon and the Civil Service Committee.
All right, hearing no objection, so referred.
Mr. President, on the item today, we have one of the items of the agenda today is we have the sponsorship of a treaty. But before we do that, we need to have a reference of business. So I move for the reference of business, Mr. President, so that we can
Yes,
take up the
what
treaty.
about the approval of the journal? Would you like to
Yes,
do that now?
We move to approve the journal, Mr. President, and I so move.
Any objection? Hearing none, the approval of the journal is approved.
This is for the 20th session, Mr. President, Monday,
Yes.
September 15. And I move for the previous motion, Mr. President, that we proceed with the reference of business.
The Secretary will proceed with the reference of business.
Bills on first reading, Senate Number 1251, an act establishing a comprehensive Philippine environmental assessment system, creating the National Environment Protection Agency, and allocating funding therefore. Senator Legarda.
Referred to the Committees on Environment, Civil Service, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1252, an act declaring Santa Ana District in the City of Manila a historical and cultural heritage zone, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Culture and the Arts, Tourism, and Finance.
Senate Number 1253, an act safeguarding the traditional property rights of indigenous peoples indigenous peoples, recognizing their collective ownership over traditional cultural expressions, knowledge, and practices, establishing a system for protection and management thereof, providing for free, prior, and informed consent, prescribing penalties for unauthorized use, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Cultural Communities, Culture and the Arts, and Finance.
Senate number 1254, an act institutionalizing the Shared Service Facilities Project for micro, small, and medium enterprises, amending RA 6977, the Magna Carta for Small Enterprises, as amended by RA 9501, the Magna Carta for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Trade, Economic Affairs, and Finance.
1255, an act further amending RA 8759, otherwise known as the Public Employment Service Act of 1999, as amended to include entrepreneurship in the scope of the law, to rename the present Public Employment Service Office into the Public Employment Entrepreneurship Office, and to establish the Barangay Employment and Entrepreneurship Offices nationwide, defining its role within the existing network, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Labor, Local Government, and Finance.
Senate number 1256, an act promoting food forest gardening, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1257, an act promoting integrated urban agriculture and vertical farming in urban areas nationwide to ensure food security and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Legarda. One, 1257.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Basic Education, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1258, an act providing policies and prescribing procedures to prevent, control, and respond to infectious diseases, amending RA 11332, the Mandatory Reporting of Notifiable Diseases and Health Events of Public Health Concern Act, and for other purposes. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Health and Ways and Means.
1259, an act facilitating and regulating international disaster relief and initial recovery assistance, and for other purposes. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on National Defense, Foreign Relations, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1260, an act promoting inclusive and sustainable productivity growth, repealing for the purpose RA 6971, the Productivity Incentives Act of 1990. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Labor, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1261, an act establishing information and communications technology hubs nationwide. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Science, Local Government, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1262, an act strengthening the legal staff of the Department of Justice, renaming it as the Office of the Chief State Counsel, redefining, expanding, rationalizing, and further professionalizing its organization, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Justice, Civil Service, and Finance.
1263, an act standardizing the retirement benefits of justices, judges, and judiciary officials with judicial rank, salary, and privileges, and appropriating funds therefore, amending for the purpose RA 910 as amended. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Justice, Civil Service, and Finance.
1264, an act providing for the modernization of the public health emergency preparedness and response capabilities, establishing for this purpose the Center for Disease Prevention and Control, and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Legarda.
To the Committees on Health, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1265, an act declaring January 22 of every year as a special working holiday to be known as National Farmers Day. Senator Legarda.
Referred to the Committee on Agriculture.
1266, an act amending RA 11350, the National Commission of Senior Citizens Act, and for other purposes. Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Social Justice and Civil Service.
1267, an act expanding the grounds for legal separation, amending for this purpose certain provisions of EO 209 or the Family Code of the Philippines, and for other purposes. Senator Marcos.
Referred to the Committee on Women.
1268, an act providing for fuel subsidy for fisher folk, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Tulfo R.
To the Committees on Agriculture and Finance.
1269, an act providing for a 300 pesos daily minimum wage increase for employees and workers in the private sector. Senator Tulfo R.
To the Committee on Labor.
1270, an act enhancing the financial literacy of overseas Filipino workers. Senator Villar M.
To the Committee on Migrant Workers.
1271, an act providing for the Magna Carta of Barangay Health Workers. Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Health, Local Government, and Finance.
1272, an act providing discounted or waived fees and charges to indigent job seekers in the issuance of certain pre-employment documents issued by government agencies. Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Labor and Social Justice.
1273, an act transferring the control and supervision of the provincial and sub-provincial jails to the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Public Order, Local Government, and Finance.
1274, an act to institutionalize the shared service facilities project for micro, small, and medium enterprises by amending RA 6977, the Magna Carta for Small Enterprises, as amended by RA 9501, the Magna Carta for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises. Senator Villar M.
The Committees on Trade and Finance.
1275, an act providing for the establishment of a forensic DNA data bank. Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Public Order, Justice, and Finance.
1276, an act strengthening animal welfare standards, enacting a revised Animal Welfare Act, thereby repealing RA 8485 as amended by RA 10631, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Civil Service, and Finance.
1277, an act institutionalizing the use of bicycle as a primary mode of transportation, defining the rights of bicycle riders, establishing requisite infrastructure facilities, and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
To the Committees on Sustainable Development Goals, Public Works, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1278, an act integrating road discipline and safety education in senior high school curriculum, and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
To the Committees on Basic Education and Finance.
1279, an act granting official or diplomatic passport to national athletes and sports officials representing the Philippines in international competitions. Senator Villar C.
To the Committees on Foreign Relations and Finance.
Senate number 1280, an act instituting a comprehensive national care plan to encourage cooperation, accountability, and research for the education and support of persons with autism and for other purposes. Senator Villar C.
To the Committees on Health, Women, and Finance.
1281, an act instituting a national health program to combat systemic lupus erythematosus disease, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villar C.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
1282, an act strengthening the practice of electrical engineering in the Philippines and instituting higher standards of regulation in the licensing and registration of electrical engineering practitioners. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Civil Service and Finance.
1283, an act providing measures to protect individuals engaged in food, grocery, and pharmacy delivery services. Senator Go.
Committee on Trade.
1284, an act expanding the services of the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation and encouraging private sector participation in agricultural insurance, further amending Section 1 and Section 3.11 of PD 1467, creating the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation as amended. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Government Corporations and Agriculture.
1285, an act instituting the Magna Carta of benefits for the officers and personnel of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Public Order and Finance.
1286, an act requiring the use of standardized date labels on consumer products, amending for the purpose RA 7394, the Consumer Act of the Philippines. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Trade and Health.
1287, an act increasing the salary schedule of civilian personnel in the government and for other purposes. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Civil Service and Finance.
1288, an act increasing the bed capacity of Governor Celestino Gallares Memorial Medical Center in Tagbilaran City, Province of Bohol, from 525 beds to 1,000 beds, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Go.
Referred to the Committee on Rules.
1289, an act establishing in the province of Oriental Mindoro a Level 3 General Hospital to be known as the Mimaropa Regional Hospital, appropriating funds therefore. Senator Go.
Referred to the Committee on Rules.
1290, an act establishing hospital wards dedicated to overseas Filipino workers and their dependents to be known as the OFW ward in every Department of Health retained hospital, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Health, Migrant Workers, and Finance.
Senate number 1291, an act instituting a comprehensive national care plan to encourage cooperation, accountability, and research for the education and support of persons with autism and for other purposes. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Health, Women, and Finance.
1292, an act to fast track and streamline the registration of real estate salespersons and for other purposes. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Civil Service, Urban Planning, and Finance.
Senate number 1293, an act instituting the Magna Carta for daycare workers, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Go.
To the Committees on Social Justice, Civil Service, and Finance.
Senate number 1294, an act providing for the Magna Carta of young farmers. Senator Antiveros.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Youth, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1295, creating a tripartite council to address unemployment, underemployment, and the job skills mismatch problem in the country and appropriate funds, therefore, Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Higher Education, Labor, and Finance.
1296, mandating the submission of a tree planting plan as a requirement in the application for building and development permit, Senator Lapid.
To the Committees on Environment and Local Government.
1297, restructuring the Philippine basic education system by abolishing the senior high school education, amending pertinent provisions of RA 10533, the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, and for other purposes, Senator Padilla.
To the Committees on Basic Education and Finance.
Senate number 1298, promoting skills-based hiring in the private sector by requiring consideration of competency-focused recruitment practices for skills-oriented employment positions, Senator Padilla.
To the Committees on Labor, Higher Education, and Ways and Means.
1299, promoting transparency, accountability, and good governance by prohibiting members of Congress from intervening in the identification and budgeting of local infrastructure projects and for other purposes, Senator Padilla.
Referred to the Committee on Finance.
Senate number 1300, to promote holistic development in early education through the mandatory integration of practical life skills, values formation, and environmental awareness in the basic education program, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, Senator Padilla.
To the Committees on Basic Education and Finance. There is additional reference to business.
Additional reference to business committee report. Committee report number 1, prepared and submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on proposed Senate Resolution number 127, titled Resolution Concurring in the Agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the Conservation and Sustainable Use of Marine Biological Diversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction. Recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Marcos.
To the calendar for ordinary business. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, next on the list to give us a privilege or avail of the privilege hour, we'd like to recognize a distinguished colleague from Isabela and Davao City, no other than Senator Raffy Tulfo.
Senator Raffy Tulfo is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I speak before you today on a matter of personal and collective privilege. Last Friday, I was invited in a conference entitled Road Safety with the Experts. The event gathered stakeholders to share knowledge on road safety policy and practice. While I would not call myself an expert on road safety, as the chairperson of the Committee on Public Services, I saw that it is my duty to know everything about public safety on our roads. Let me share to you some concerns that I learned during the said event. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, it is very unfortunate that in the past years, there is a rising trend when it comes to land transport accidents in our country. The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, noted that the number of deaths due to land transport accidents rose to 13,125 in 2023, the highest recorded in over a decade. These deaths accounted for 1.9% of all deaths nationwide. Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police has reported a 35% increase in road accident fatalities in 2024 compared to 2023. Several road safety issues were tackled during the conference, including reckless and drunk driving, inconsistent traffic law enforcement, poor maintenance and public utility vehicles, unfair labor conditions for PUV drivers, insufficient road safety education, and substandard road infrastructure and maintenance. If you look at the other countries, the best practices for safer roads involve road infrastructure that address human mistakes and reduce crash severity. First, they create separate spaces for different modes of transport, such as designated footpaths, dedicated cycle lanes, and divided roadways to protect vulnerable users like pedestrians and cyclists. Second, they use features like speed bumps, roundabouts, and narrow lanes to manage vehicle speed and prevent collision. Third, they ensure clear road markings, proper lighting, and safe crossing points. These practices could be adopted here in our country by first and foremost having an overall planning by our government agencies. National and local, each project must be worth every centavo, and this could only be done if there is an extensive planning through thoughtful designs and community involvement. As we have observed here in the Senate the past weeks, the lack of planning and strict implementation of infra works open doors to ghost, unfinished, or delayed projects, adding to the problems instead of solving them. At dahil na din po siguro sa walang tigil na investigasyon sa mga palpak na flood control projects, may ilang lumapit po sa akin upang iparating ang kanilang reklamo sa ilang problemadong road projects na nagdulot ng malaking perwisyo sa ating commuters. Isa sa talagang nakakabahala na reklamong tinugon sa akin ay ang Mabuhay Underpass National Highway sa General Santos City. The completion of the underpass, which broke ground on June 23, 2022, was originally set on September 2024. But if you visit Gensan, Mr. President, the underpass is far from finished. Ang kontraktor na nasabing proyekto ay ang Vicente T. Lau Construction. I repeat once more, Vicente T. Lau Construction. Mr. President, according to the people of Gensan, the traffic they experienced was really due to poor traffic management. Therefore, the underpass was actually unnecessary. Hindi talaga pinag-isipan ang project na ito. Sa katunayan, sabi po ng proponent ng proyekto, pinalagyan niya ng LED walls ang underpass dahil gusto niya ito maging tourist destination. Kung ano-ano talagang naisip ng mga tao kapag hindi nila pera ang ginagastos. Nagiging matalino ang ilan sa mga Pilipino kapag pera ang pinag-uusapan na pwedeng ilagay sa kanilang bulsa. Ngayon po, ang defective na underpass ay pinag-iipunan ng tubig na parang fish pond. You see, water being pumped out from below even if it did not rain. It is causing so much traffic because the open lanes are full of deep potholes. According to the DPWH Notice of Awards and various contracts covering the Gensan Underpass project, the total cost of the project is 657 million pesos. Bureau of Construction Director Alan S. Borromeo said, the contractor performance is strictly monitored. Pero bakit ang daming kapalpakan? First, the project at the BC junction of Mabuhay-Bulaong Road and the Digos-Macar National Highway was temporarily suspended on April 8 due to obstructions along the alignment for high-density polyethylene pipes. Second, unanticipated water seepage in the tunnel section that was not accounted for the original detailed engineering design also required plan revision. Third, delays were incurred in relocating effective electric posts within the project limits. Talagang hindi po pinag-isipan. This is more than just a delayed project. It has become an economic and social disaster. Site visits and complaints from citizens revealed months of inactivity, misaligned column bases, uneven pavement, scattered materials, and unsafe passageways. Businesses with the construction zone reportedly suffer closures or financial losses while traffic congestion worsened. Ang pinagtataka ko lang kung bakit na-award ito sa Vicente T. Lau Construction. According to the Notice of Award, Resolution number 2022-03, pang-apat lamang na pinakamababa sa bidding ang Vicente Lau sa 5 nagbid para sa proyekto. Hindi piniliwanag kung bakit ang ibang mas mababa pa sa Vicente Lau Construction na bidders ay na-disqualify one by one. And lo and behold, yung pang-apat ang siyang nanalo, na-disqualify 1, 2, 3, and 5. Ang mas malala pa, ang nasabing contractor ay may 4 na ongoing project na may negative slippage. Ibig sabihin delay. Pero binigay pa din ito sa nasabing contractor. dahil di umano ang mga negative slippage ay hindi naman daw kasalanan ng kontraktor. Walang malinaw na paliwanag kung ano itong mga slippage na ito. Pero ang pag-award ng proyektong nagkakalaga ng 657 million pesos ay di na dapat binibigay sa mga ganitong kontraktor. Sino pumirma sa nasabing resolusyon? Sila po ay sina Edgardo Garces, OIC Assistant Director ng Bureau of Construction, Attorney Michael S. Villaranca, Director Human Resources Administrative Service, Ernesto Gregorio Jr., Director Bureau of Maintenance, Alex G. Bote, Director Public-Private Partnership Service, Aristetarco M. Doroy, Director Bureau of Construction, Wilfredo S. Malyari, Assistant Secretary for Regional Operations in NCR. There are other recent road projects that has come up on the news that highlighted the need for proper planning and commuter considerations. Example ay yung Isabela Santa Maria Bridge. Last February 27, a tragedy unfolded when the 1.7 billion Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge collapsed just 26 days after its completion. This raised urgent questions about the system in place to ensure public safety. There was a design flaw in the project because it used non-cable suspension to support the bridge. Pinagtatawanan ang bridge na ito dahil ito lang ang nag-iisang suspension bridge sa buong Earth, buong mundo na walang kable. Meanwhile, it comes to the EDSA Rehabilitation Project. When it comes to the EDSA Rehabilitation Project, buti na lang po maagap na inapakan ng Pangulo ang preno sa EDSA Rehabilitation Project na yan. While we all know that EDSA is in dire need of improvement, the volume of traffic and the number of people that rely on these national roads is too high that the major construction needs thorough planning and preparation. The road being the backbone of land transportation, the Committee on Public Service must look into the policies of all government agencies involved when it comes to initiating transportation-related infrastructure. At the start, there must be standard in deciding when it is necessary. Second, the plan must actually address the traffic concern and will directly improve the transportation needs of the people. Third, the local government units and the community must be consulted regarding the possible effect of the construction to the delay or daily traffic situation. What alternative could be given to ease the congestion caused by the project? And finally, how can we ensure that these projects are done in a prompt and efficient manner? Mr. President, the projects mentioned earlier are just examples of road projects that has wasted money and hundreds of hours of our people's lives because of the traffic and worse actual lives due to fatalities caused by road accidents. As chairman of the Committee on Public Services, I would like to look into a possible whole of government approach when it comes to road safety and efficiency for our commuting public. With everyone's support, I'm sure we could bring down the number of road accidents in our country and bring home our people safely to their homes and loved ones. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Rafi Tulfo.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, may we refer the speech of our good colleague to the Committee on Public Services, Mr. President.
So referred to the Committee on Public Services.
Mr. President, I'd just like to recognize with us, we're happy to have with us the former governor and now Congresswoman of Llano del Norte, no other than Congresswoman Anguing Dimaporo, Mr. President.
You see. Congresswoman Anguing Dimaporo is welcome. Welcome to the.
She's with us, Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank
welcome
you.
to the Senate.
I almost didn't recognize her. She has a new haircut. That's why.
Oh yeah, she looks about 20 years younger.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mm.
Mr. President, our
She,
distinguished colleague.
yeah, she's married to Bobby.
Yes,
Oh,
Tito Bobby
Bobby is
Dimaporo.
the son of my brother,
The old,
the old man Ali.
Ali Dimaporo. That's correct, Mr. President. Our distinguished colleague from Nueva Ecija, Camarines Norte, and Republic of the Philippines, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, would like to seek the floor just to give a manifestation, Mr. President. Quick manifestation.
Senator Robin Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo at sa ating pinunong mayurya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mga ginagalang kong mga kasama sa mataas na kapulungan, buong puso ko pong ipinahayag ang aking kagalakan at pasasalamat sa naging pasya po ng ating bansa sa United Nations sa pagtindig ng Pilipinas para po sa two-state solution sa usapin ng Israel at Palestine. Para itong sinag ng liwanag na dumaan sa makapal na ulap ng digmaan. Minsan pa, pinatunayan ng Pilipinas ang tibay ng kanyang paninindigan. Simula pa po noong 1947 nang tayo po ay bumoto sa Partition Plan for Palestine. Malinaw na ang ating paninindigan, kapayapaan at pagkilala sa karapatan ng dalawang mamamayan. At noong 1989, tayo rin po ang isa sa mga unang bansa na kumilala sa Estado ng Palestine. Noon pa man, hindi na tayo umiiwas sa usaping ito. Bagkus, tayo po'y tumitindig sa panig ng katarungan. Ang ating pinakahuling boto ay muling nagpapatunay po na ang tanging daan tungo sa kapayapaan, katarungan at dangal ay ang prinsipyong dalawang estado para sa dalawang mamamayan. At noong nakaraang taon, hindi po nag-atubili ang Pilipinas na bumoto pabor sa resolusyon ng UN General Assembly na nag-angat ng karapatan sa Palestine, muli pagiging observer tungo sa pagiging full member. Para tayong nagtanim muli ng binhi ng pag-asa sa tuyong lupa ng gitnang silangan. Paulit-ulit na rin pong pinatutunayan ng ating bansa ang kanyang paninindigan sa pagboto pabor sa isang agaran at pangmatagalang tigil putukan sa Gaza. Hindi lamang ito simbolo, ito ay pakikisa sa mga inosenteng sibilyan, mga bata, matatanda at pamilyang napipilas sa gitna ng digmaan. Para bang nagsindi po tayo ng kandila sa madilim na silid upang muling makita ng lahat ang muka ng pag-asa. Ginoong Pangulo, hindi lingid sa atin na kinilala mismo ng Palestinian ambassador ang ating bansa. Anya, mula pa noong 1989, nananatiling matatag ang relasyon ng Palestine at Pilipinas. Dagdag pa rito, nakilahok din ang Pilipinas sa usapin ng International Court of Justice laban sa mga pang-aabuso sa Gaza. Patunay na hindi lamang tayo tumitindig sa salita, kundi pati sa gawa. Kaya naman, marapat lamang natin purihin ang Pilipinas. Ang ating delegasyon ay nananatiling tapat sa diwa ng dialogo, ng negosasyon at ng batas internasyonal. Huwag natin kalimutan, sa bawat boto natin, dinadala natin ang tinig ng sambayanang Pilipino. Isang tinig na laging may baon ng pag-asa na matapos ang pagdurusa at dumating ang tunay na pangmatagalang kapayapaan. Ginoong Pangulo, sa harapan ng magulong mundo, nananatiling buo ang paninindigan ng Pilipinas para sa kapayapaan, para sa katarungan at para sa dalawang estado, para sa dalawang mamamayan. Sapagkat tulad ng dalawang kamay, mas matibay ang pagkakapit kapag magkakasama. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Thank you, Senator Robin Padilla. Majority Leader.
Gusto mo pa i-refer sa committee?
Oo.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yes.
We'd like to thank the good gentleman for his manifestation. And now with that, Mr. President, if the good sponsor of... yes, for a minute suspension, Mr. President.
Yes, Senate The session is suspended.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we recognize our distinguished chairperson of the Committee on Foreign Relations, Senator Amy. My apologies, Mr. President. I move that we transfer the calendar of ordinary business to the calendar of special orders. Committee Report Number 1 on proposed Senate Resolution 127. This is the resolution concurring in the agreement in the biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objections? Chair hears none. The committee report is hereby transferred.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution Number 127 under Committee Report Number 1. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration is in order.
Mr. President, now I'd like to recognize our distinguished birthday boy, the Secretary of the Senate, Secretary Ray Bantuk, Mr. President.
Secretary is recognized.
Resolution concurring in the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction.
Mr. President, I'd like to recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, our chairperson of the Committee on Foreign Relations, no other than Senator Amy Marcos.
Yes,
Senator Amy Marcos is recognized to sponsor the measure.
thank you very much, Mr. President, Majority Leader. Tulad ng isang mangingisda, ako po ay tumitindig na may simpleng adhikain, maitawid ang panukalang ito. Bitbit ang lampara, ang maliit na tanglaw ng pag-asa, dala ang lambat ng pangangatwiran na umaasang makakuha ng suporta at higit sa lahat, ako ay lula ng isang bangka. Bangkang tinatawag nating committee chair, chairmanship na inaalog at hinahampas ng malalaking alon ng politika. Ngunit hindi bale na yun. Kahit pa mapanganib na itaob ang aking bangka sa gitna ng lawat o di naman ng kaya, may mang-aagaw ng aking aanihin sa pakikipagsapalarang ito, hindi bale na gayunpaman tulad ng isang mangingisdang Pilipino, papalaot tayo, magtatrabaho na lang at uuwing may huli para sa bayan. At hindi ba't nakakalungkot na bukod sa katotohanan tayo ay napapaligiran ng mga anyong tubig, hindi natin napapakinabangan ang likas na yaman nito. At kung gaano kayaman ng karagatan ay ganoon na lang din ang kahirapan ng mga mangingisdang Pilipino. Biktima na nga ng daluyong, alon, mapanganib na panahon, hindi nalalaman kung paano nila responsableng mapakikinabangan ang likas na yaman, matagal nang nakalaan para sa kanila, para sa ating dito sa Pilipinas. Today, Mr. President and my dear colleagues, I submit to our chamber Committee Report Number 1, sponsoring Senate Resolution Number 127, the resolution concurring in the ratification of the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and the sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. This agreement, better known as Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, or BBNJ Agreement, is the first treaty to protect the world's high seas and the third agreement intended to implement the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas, or UNCLOS. After almost 2 decades of negotiation, the international community in 2023 finally adopted a legally binding framework to protect and sustainably manage marine diversity in areas that lie beyond their national jurisdiction. Note, this is neither the nation's contiguous waters nor their exclusive economic zones, but rather those vast high seas and deep sea areas that cover nearly 2/3 of the planet. For the Philippine archipelago straddles not merely the much controverted China Sea, our West Philippine Sea, but also the vastness of the Great Pacific Ocean on our eastern seaboard. The BBNJ joins the ranks of 2 earlier landmark agreements. First, the agreement addressing the exploration and exploitation of mineral resources in the international seabed, and second, UN Fish Stocks Agreement, providing for the management of straddling and migratory fish stocks. The BBNJ stands on 4 main pillars of activity. First, it covers marine genetic resources, ensuring that all scientific data, including digital sequencing and DNA information, as well as the financial gains derived from these marine genetic resources, are to be shared fairly and equitably among states. The Philippines, with our very scarce research funding, will thus gain access to the latest and most comprehensive marine databases, advanced oceanographic technology, as well as gain open access to the research institutions of developed countries, in addition to those of our neighbors with comparable conditions to the Philippines. Kung may kumakalap o gumagamit ng DNA o genetic material, pantay-pantay ang hatian ng benepisyo sa ilalim ng BBNJ. Walang monopolyo sa dagat, walang gahaman, walang iwanan. The second pillar of this treaty concerns area-based management tools, including marine protected areas, a topic that caused much consternation following China's announcement last week that it was setting up a 3,500-hectare nature reserve in Huangyan Island. Now, note that this is our Scarborough Shoal. Since proposals will, through the BBNJ, be subjected to both scientific review and wide consultation among signatories and their own stakeholders, not merely government, but scientists, IPs, local coastal communities, the BBNJ will provide another platform for the Philippines to be heard and, yes, to push back diplomatically, legally, against those who are incursing into our shores and our maritime territories. Necessarily, marine protected areas will also provide an experimental training ground for Filipino biologists, oceanographers, and fishermen to upskill our country to international standards. Thirdly, this treaty will require environmental impact assessments or EIAs for activities, even in waters under a state's jurisdiction or control that may nevertheless affect high seas or the deep seabed. For example, it will prevent and vow to mitigate the impact of exploitation of marine genetic resources, gas exploration underwater, submarine cables, or other activities with transboundary effects. Public notification, consultation of concerned governments, private sector, and even IPs will be undertaken in addition to preparing publicly available reports. The BBNJ's fourth pillar involves capacity building and technology transfer, providing access to scientific knowledge, the sharing of marine technology, training, and technical operation in order that all nations, especially particularly developing ones, can participate in global ocean governance. Finally, the treaty established both a voluntary trust fund and a special fund, also offering the Global Environment Facility or GEF, granting um, funding for biodiversity projects, climate, and international water initiatives. Maliit man tayong bansa, mahigit 1,115,015 Pilipinong umaasa lamang sa pangingisda. Sila at pinakadukha nating mga kababayan. 27.4% sa kanila ay nananatili pa rin sa ilalim ng poverty line. Sana'y mabiyayaan sa wakas ang mandaragat na maliliit. At ang agos ng pondo mula sa Global Environmental Facility o GEF, itong mga bagong voluntary trust fund at special fund ay sa wakas umabot na rin sa kanila. Access to international funding will provide Filipino fisherfolk with retraining, fresh capital, and new technology, as well as direct employment. Marine diversity projects in the Philippines will not only protect the sustainability of their livelihoods, but more importantly, make us true stewards of the ocean's resources for generations to come. At last, Filipino scientists and students will gain access to digital sequence information and state-of-the-art marine technology, all critical for innovations in medicine, biotech, cosmetics, and agriculture, enabling the discovery of new drugs, vaccines, and bio-based products. The Philippines was among the first signatories of the BBNJ in 2023. Let us hurry today to join the first 60 signatories who will determine, upon the immediate convening of the Conference of Parties, the policies, rules, guidelines, and even the appointment of officials who will implement the BBNJ. Tunay ng tayo ngayon ay nalukuban ng isang malakas na bagyo. Madilim ang kalangitan ng ating bansa. Ang mga Pilipino, 3G na. Gising, galit, gutom. Gising na sa katiwalian, galit sa buwaya, gutom sa hustisya. Ngunit narito tayo para sa kanila, patuloy na naghahanap ng solusyon. Ay may solusyon sana. Para sa ating maliliit na mangingisda, sa mga dalubhas at mag-aaral ng ating yaman dagat, para ipagtanggol ang ating karagatan at soberanya para sa bayan, hinihiling ko po ang inyong pagsangguni sa BBNJ under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President at mga mahal kong mga kapwa senador. 100 araw na lamang at magpapasko na, 100 days before Christmas. Handugan natin ng biyaya ang ating mga pobreng mangingisda. Salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Yes, and to continue sponsoring the measure, to co-sponsor the measure, Mr. President, may we recognize Senator Erwin Tulfo.
Senator Erwin Tulfo is recognized.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise today to co-sponsor the Senate's concurrence in the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction, or commonly known as BBNJ agreement. During our Committee on Foreign Relations hearing, we'll listen to experts and stakeholders who carefully explain the great promise this agreement holds for our nation and for all Filipinos. It strengthens our long-standing commitment to protect the seas, which have sustained our archipelago for centuries. The BBNJ agreement rests on 4 essential pillars, Mr. President. First, marine genetic resources, including the fair and equitable sharing of benefits, will ensure discoveries and advances drawn from richness of marine life will not remain in the hands of a few powerful states or corporations, but will instead redound to the benefit of all humankind, including developing nations like ours. Second, measures such as area-based management tools, including marine protected areas, will help guarantee that our oceans remain productive, diverse, and resilient against the threats of overfishing, pollution, and climate change. Number 3, environmental impact assessments will enable us to hold activities in high seas accountable for their consequences and prevent irreversible harm before it is too late, Mr. President. Fourth, capacity building and the transfer of marine technology are provisions that hold particular value for our country, like the Philippines. These promises, Mr. President, not only new scientific knowledge and access to cutting-edge tools, but also the training of our experts so that we may fully participate in the stewardship of the global commons. Mr. President, the concurrence to the BBNJ agreement is not merely about international obligations. It is about ensuring that Filipino people, our fisher folk, our coastal communities, our scientists, and even our youth will have a stake and share in the benefits that this historic treaty seeks to protect and distribute. We are all hopeful that even ordinary citizens will one day feel its impact, whether in the form of sustainable livelihood, a healthier marine environment, or access to innovations made possible by global cooperation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, next to co-sponsor the measure is no other than Senator Lauren Legarda.
Senator Lauren Legarda is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I'd like to thank the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Amy Marcos, for hearing this and realizing the importance of concurring in its ratification within the month of September. So with their permission, I would like to co-sponsor the measure. The areas beyond national jurisdiction, or the high seas, cover half of our planet's surface and comprise 2/3 of the global ocean. These boundless waters are inseparably tied to the health of all seas, including our own coasts. Once dismissed as barren, the high seas are now recognized as one of the greatest reservoirs of biodiversity on Earth. They are a treasure trove of marine life, sustain livelihoods, secure our food supply, and anchor the balance of life itself. Migratory giants such as whales, tunas, and sharks traverse these waters, while other species thrive entirely in the depths, living and breeding along submerged mountain ranges. These ecosystems, some as ancient as time itself, hold secrets that could yield life-saving medicines and deepen our understanding of the Earth's biodiversity. And yet, while humankind has walked on the moon, only a fraction of the deep seabed has been explored. Millions of species remain undiscovered. Their existence and perhaps their cures for humanity's gravest illnesses hidden in the deep. The high seas are also our biggest ally against climate change, from the smallest plankton to vast carbon stores in our seabeds. These waters regulate the Earth's climate, an economic worth estimated at up to $222 billion each year. Yet tragically, they remain the least protected area on our planet. For an archipelagic state like the Philippines, the stakes could not be higher. The decline of ocean health impacts our coastal communities, threatening livelihoods, food security, and resilience. Becoming a party to the BBNJ agreement will bring profound benefits to our nation. It will safeguard our migratory fish vital to our fisheries, ensuring recovery and replenishment for future generations. It will also empower our marine scientists, opening pathways to advanced tools, modern research expeditions, and global collaboration. Through capacity building and technology transfer, the Philippines can become a regional hub of marine science, capable of exploring our deep sea frontiers, protecting our national heritage, and contributing to humanity's shared stewardship of our seas. But beyond science and economy, this agreement is about principle. It is an affirmation of a rules-based international order governed by the UNCLOS as a constitution of the oceans. While it does not directly address maritime boundary disputes, the BBNJ agreement reinforces the legitimacy of the dispute settlement regime under UNCLOS, including our 2016 South China Sea Arbitral Award won by the Philippines. Colleagues, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to shape the governance of the high seas. For more than 2 decades, the Philippines has been engaged in this treaty process, advocating not only for its national interest, but for humanity's collective aspiration to preserve and protect the marine environment. Now, as the agreement nears its entry into force, it is imperative that the voice of over 112 million Filipinos be present and heard when the crucial first conference of the parties is convened. And I hope that the Philippines is one of the first 50 or 60 to accede or to concur in the ratification of the agreement. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
President is a good gentleman from Nueva Ecija, Camarines Norte, and the Republic of the Philippines, no other than Senator Robin Hood Padilla.
Senator Robin Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ako po ay buong puso na nakikiisa bilang co-sponsor ng resolusyong ito na nagbibigay ng concurrence sa Senado sa agreement po ng under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction o tinatawag po na BBNJ agreement. Mga kasama, tayo po ay isang arkipelago. Ang ating pong pagkatao, ang ating kabuhayan, ang ating kinabukasan ay nakaugnay po sa dagat. Kapag maayos ang ating dagat, maayos ang ating buhay. Kapag sinira po ang karagatan, tayo rin po ang mawawalan. Kaya't ang kasunduang ito ay hindi lamang technical na usapin. Ito'y usapin ng ating self-sustainment bilang isang bansang nakatanaw sa dagat. Ang BBNJ agreement ay mahalaga sa tatlong dahilan. Una, pinatitibay nito ang ating paninindigan sa UNCLOS, ang parehong batas na naging sandigan natin sa West Philippine Sea. Sa pamamagitan ng kasunduang ito, muling ipinapakita ng Pilipinas na tayo po ay naninindigan para sa rule of law sa karagatan. Ikalawa, ipinagtatanggol po nito ang ating yaman dagat, kasama sa kasunduan ang makatarungang pagbabahagi ng benepisyo mula sa marine genetic resources, pagtatag ng marine protected areas, at masusing environmental impact assessments. Ito'y malinaw na depensa laban sa pang-aabuso at pagsasamantala sa ating karagatan. Ikatlo, binibigyan nito ng kakayahan ang mga bansang tulad ng Pilipinas, ang mga bansang umaasa sa dagat na magkaroon ng kapasidad at teknolohiyang pangangalaga sa ating yamang dagat. Hindi po tayo maiiwan. May bahagi tayo, may tinig tayo, may lakas tayo. Ginoong Pangulo, para itong ating pamana po sa susunod na henerasyon. Ang pagpirma natin dito ay paglalagay ng bantayog na nasagsasabing ang karagatan ay buhay at ito'y ating ipaglalaban at pangangalagaan. Kaya't buong puso ko pong sinusuportahan ang resolusyong ito. Sa pamamagitan ng concurrence ng Senado, ipinapakita ng Pilipinas na tayo ay handang makiisa sa mundo para ipagtanggol ang mga karagatan at handang ipaglaban ang ating sariling karapatan at soberenya. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, no other member wishes to sponsor the measure. I move that we suspend consideration of. Sorry? May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President?
All right, 1 minute suspension. Before the suspension, the majority leader asked that the
Yes.
measure be, the consideration of the measure be suspended. So is there any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The
Thank you.
committee report number 1 is suspended in the meantime.
Thank you, and we thank the sponsor for taking this up immediately, as we know there's a timeline involved with this particular measure. We'll take it up again first item tomorrow. We'd like to invite our colleagues to be around because we need to get 2/3 vote, which is at least 16 votes for this treaty. Mr. President, I move that we, well, subject or pursuant to Rule 10, Section 13 of the Rules of the Senate, I move to elect the following senators as members of the standing committees. If I may, Mr. President.
Yes, you
For-
may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some of the members have been already elected earlier, but just for clarity, Mr. President, we'll just repeat it one by one because there's a long list of names. On the Committee on Women, the chairperson, of course, is Senator Risa Ontiveros. Vice Chair is Senator Pia Cayetano. Then Senator members are Senator Ligarda, Villar, Pangilinan, Aquino, and of course, Deputy Majority Leader Ejercito, and Deputy, I believe, there are 3 nominees still to be given by the minority. And of course, the ex-official members is Zubiri, Lacson, and Cayetano. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection?
Yeah, the Villar pala, Mr. President, just to clarify, is Camille.
Camille,
Villar,
it's Camille
yes.
Villar. Any objection? Chair hears none. Enumerated names are hereby elected into the Committee on Health.
Oh, Committee on Women, sir.
I'm sorry, Committee on Women.
Yes. Now for Committee on Health, Mr. President, I move that we elect, the chairperson is Senator Risa Ontiveros. The vice chairperson is Senator Ejercito, Senator Cayetano Pia, and Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo, Mr. President, as the vice chairman. And members are Senator Tulfo Rafi, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Aquino, Senator Legarda, Senator Pangilinan, and 2 members yet to be named by the minority. And Senator Marcoleta and Villanueva are deputy minority leaders that are members, and ex-officio members, Senator Zubiri, Lacson, and Cayetano Alan.
Any objection? There being none, the enumerated names are hereby elected into the Committee on Health.
For the Committee on Rules, yours truly is the chairperson, Mr. President. The vice chairpersons are Senator J.V. Ejercito and Senator Risa Ontiveros. And members of the majority side is Senator Gatchalian, Senator Pangilinan, Senator Erwin Tulfo, and we'll still await the members of the minority, Mr. President, with, of course, the Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, being a regular member, and the ex-official members, Mr. President.
Any objection? Chair hears none. The enumerated names are hereby elected into the Committee on Rules.
On the Committee on Public Accountability of Public Officers and Investigations of the Blue Ribbon Committee, as already elected, the chairperson is Senator Panfilo Lacson. The vice chairperson is Senator Erwin Tulfo. The 2 deputy majority leaders, for the record, Senator J.V. Ejercito, Senator Risa Ontiveros. And the members are Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Lapid, Senator Pangilinan, Senator Rafi Tulfo, Senator Legarda, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Mark Villar, and for the minority, Senator Christopher Go, Senator Marcoleta, Senator Estrada, Senator Marcos, and Senator De La Rosa, with the Deputy Leader, Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, and the 3 ex-official members.
Any objection? Chair hears none. Enumerated names are hereby elected into the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and Investigations.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to elect the members of the Committee on Basic Education. We have the chairperson, Senator Bam Aquino, the vice chairperson, Senator Win Gatchalian, Senator Rafi Tulfo, and the 2 deputy majority leaders, Senator J.V. Ejercito, Senator Risa Ontiveros, and the members on the part of the majority, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Lito Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Pangilinan. We are still awaiting for the 5 members of the minority, Mr. President, but we have the deputy minority leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, and the 3 ex-official members.
Any objection? Chair hears none. The enumerated names are elected into the Committee on Basic Education.
Ay, tama. Sorry. Yeah, my apologies. Mr. President, I move that we elect the chairperson on the Committee on Cooperatives. It's headed by Senator Lito Lapid, Vice Chairperson Senator Marcos, and Senator Hontiveros. The Deputy Majority Leader, Senator J.V. Ejercito, and Senator Risa Ontiveros. The members of the majority, Mr. President, Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Gatchalian, and Senator Pangilinan. We're still waiting for the other members of the minority from the chairperson.
All right.
And of course, the ex-official members are mentioned as well.
Any objection? Hearing none. Enumerated names are hereby elected into the Committee on Cooperatives.
For the Committee on Foreign Relations, I move to elect, of course, we already elected the Senator Amy Marcos as the chairperson. Her vice chairpersons are Senator Legarda, Senator Erwin Tulfo, and the Deputy Majority Leader, Senator J.V. Ejercito, Senator Risa Ontiveros. The members are Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Lapid, Senator Mark Villar, Senator Camille Villar, Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Rafi Tulfo, and for the minority, Senators Escudero, De La Rosa, Go, and Padilla, Mr. President, together with the Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, and all the ex-officio members.
Any objection? Hearing none, enumerated names are hereby elected into the Committee on Foreign Relations.
Mr. President, may I also move to elect the members of the Committee on Public Services. For chairperson, Senator Rafi Tulfo, and the vice chairperson, Senator Ejercito, Senator Gatchalian. We have the two deputy majority leaders, of course, already mentioned, Senator Ejercito, Senator Risa Ontiveros. We have also the members, Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Lauren Legarda, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, Senator Mark Villar, and for the minority, Senator Go, Senator Estrada, Senator De La Rosa, and Senator Marcoleta, together with the Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, and the three ex-officio members.
Any objection? Hearing none, the enumerated names are hereby elected into the Committee on Public Services.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 10, Section 18 of the Rules of the Senate, upon the instruction of the chairperson of the Committee on Cooperatives, I would like to manifest the creation of a subcommittee to tackle the following bills for the revised Cooperative Code of the Philippines: Senate Bill number 116, 572, 622, and 867, with Senator Amy Marcos as chairperson of the subcommittee, Mr. President. I so move.
Any objection? Chair hears none. The subcommittee is hereby created as manifested by the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. And there's a designation of additional vice chairperson for the Committee on Finance.
Wala yung science.
So pursuant, Mr. President, to Rule 10, Section 18 of the Rules of the Senate, and upon instruction of the chairperson of the Committee on Finance, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, I manifest the designation of Senator Mark Villar as an additional vice chairperson of the said committee. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Yes, Mr. President, the Science and Technology Committee, we're still awaiting for the additional members. May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President?
Session suspended.
Yes, Mr. President, with no other matters to be taken up today, I move that we adjourn session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, September 17, 2025. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Chair hears none. Session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, September 17, 2025.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.